Letter from the Gantry.
Well, it's nothing like as good as Alistair Cook, by the way, who was a legend of my childhood, but it did resonate. And so, yes, so it's an essay, really, and I hope you enjoy it. One of the more tricky tasks of being a commentator is the assessment or otherwise of own goals. And as you know, Euro 2024 is having a raft of such incidents. Identifying a goal scorer is really the primary task of my profession, and giving the name the correct vocal power comes in tandem with that. That in itself is now more complicated because of VAR. When VAR was brought in, an initial thought from we broadcasters was to treat every goal with something like, well, the ball's in the net, let's wait and see whether the goal stands on every goal. But we grew up after that, and now we all give goals the full treatment and don't feel that our pride is dented if technology rules them out. But you want the scorer to be like the VAR protocol, to be clear and obvious, like Jude Bellingham against Serbia, Harry Kane against Denmark. Own goals are rarely like that. Some are. The latest in Euro 2024 from Daniel Malen, playing for the Netherlands against Austria recently, was there was no Austrian player near him. The only doubt was, what the heck was one of the Dutch front three doing back there? Well, let's name the not-so-magnificent seven who've had a debit put on their Euro accounts in chronological order. You'll remember some of these, I'm sure. Toni Rüdiger, Germany against Scotland. Max Werber, Austria against France. Robin Haranak, Czech Republic against Portugal. Klaus Jasula, Albania against Croatia, though he later scored at the right end, and you'll remember that, I'm sure. Riccardo Calafiori, Italy v Spain. Samet Akaydin, Turkey against Portugal, surely the craziest one of them all, and Daniel Malen, as I say, Netherlands against Austria. UEFA also originally announced that Scotland's goal against Switzerland was also an own goal, but they revoked that and gave Scott McTominay the credit he deserved. And there was some debate about Austria's Romano Schmidt on Tuesday when his scoring header flew in off Stefan de Vrij of the Netherlands, but both efforts were on target before the deflection, and that seems a proper guiding rule. In the Premier League, such rulings are commonplace. It used to be called the dubious goals panel, but now, more seriously, it's known as goal accreditation. Such judgments can be subject to appeal. One of Arsenal's 5 goals against Crystal Palace in January was adjudged by the Premier League goal accreditation panel to be an own goal by the Palace keeper, Dean Henderson. Arsenal appealed on behalf of Gabriel, who sent the ball goalwards, and subsequently it was re-accredited to Gabriel. Alan Shearer, the Premier League's all-time leading goal scorer, 260 goals, still fervently believes it should be 261. It was Newcastle against Manchester United at St James's Park in 2001. I was commentating, and like Alan, I was sure, and I'm still sure, that Shearer's shot, which cannoned in off Wes Brown, was on target. But check the record books, it's still down as a Brown own goal. As a former non-league striker, I'm always keen to give the attacker the benefit of the doubt in these matters, but there is very little wriggle room now. The cameras rarely lie. It wasn't always thus. Until the television evolution, hungry goal scorers would claim anything within reach, and sometimes when it wasn't in reach. One of my first FA Cup semi-final commentaries was at Stamford Bridge in 1978. Arsenal against the giant killers of that season, Leyton Orient. Arsenal's attack was led by one Malcolm MacDonald, Super Mac, a legendary goal-getter in his day. He once scored all 5 for England in a 5-0 win over Cyprus. The history books still show Arsenal 3, Orient 0, scorers MacDonald 2 and Ricks. Malcolm's efforts were both shots that were going way off target, but then hit defenders and ended up in the back of the Orient net. He wheeled away in celebration both times. And to be honest, no one was brave enough on the day or since to take the goals off him. There is one anomaly, though, in current interpretation. If a penalty awarded in regulation time hits the frame of the goal and then hits the goalkeeper before it goes over the line, it's classed as an own goal by the keeper. But not if it's in a penalty shootout. Have you ever heard of an own goal in a shootout? Never. The striker of the shootout penalty gets the credit. So identical incidents, different outcomes, and that doesn't sit well with me. If you want some evidence of this, go onto YouTube and you can see Shay Given own goal for Stoke against Everton at Everton. Leighton Baines was the penalty taker in 2016 in the Premier League. Hits the post, hits Shay and goes in, Given own goal. 1986 penalty shootout in the World Cup quarter-final, no less. Bruno Bellon of France against Brazil. He takes the penalty. It hits the post and it hits the goalkeeper and goes in, and it goes down as a successful penalty. So that to me is always something that sticks in my throat. But here we are with own goals topping the scoring charts at Euro 2024. The leading individual, as Neil has mentioned, George Mikhautadze of Georgia, who got his third yesterday. There are lots of jokes going around about how to honour the high number of own goals, including the presentation of a golden boot. Much better for me would be a golden clog, spelt, of course, C-L-O-G.